So are we ready?
This is Jay,
This is A,
and this is Moxicated.
where we drop the booze and walk through the reality of life alcohol-free.
So grab your favorite mock, get ready to laugh, and let's get Moxicated.
Well, hello there, Jessica.
Hello, Alexandra.
How's it going?
You know, it's going good. Just getting back in the hang of things. Just got back from a cheerleading competition, so
Ooh,
still. Actually, I'm all unpacked.
yeah,
but
I was going to say
laundry's
still
being done.
unpacking.
No, I actually didn't unpack the first night that we got home, and it felt like I was a crazy person. But
Yeah, I unpack the second
I
I
have
get
to.
home. I have to.
it like makes me itch.
Which
even
I
thinking about it right now.
did not do that when I drank. I wouldn't unpack
Oh
for
my
like
gosh,
weeks.
no.
I would like
No.
live out of the suitcase until finally I would
Until
be
I was
like,
like, crap,
okay,
I should
I
put
need
this-
to put this away.
Someone's coming over.
And then another trip would like be coming up, and I'd be like, oh, should I
Just
put
like
it
put it
away or should I just leave it out?
Yeah. We were in San Antonio, and I don't
Ooh.
know if you knew this because I forgot. I've only been there one time.
Oh yeah,
I saw NSYNC, which
I'm still jealous of. I never
know,
saw NSYNC.
it came full circle. When we were in the hotel, Pop came on,
Oh,
and it was the Pop tour that I was there, and I
Dang.
was like, whoa. Feeling when you no, I'm just kidding. But anyways, obviously I was in middle school, so I didn't know this. But you can drink on the Riverwalk. Did you know that?
no.
Yeah, it's like Vegas because it's just like that strip, which the Riverwalk is kind of like windy.
Okay.
But yeah, the whole up and down it, you can have alcohol.
Wow.
And we went. We took the river boat tour, so you like kind of see it all. And then we went and had dinner in the location that this was. But like, even being alcohol free, Philip and I were like, this would be so fun to just come and see, like, dance at one of these clubs because they're in like almost older buildings, like just stacked on top of each other on the river.
Oh wow.
And then there's like clubs like on top of each other, like first row,
I don't
second
think I've
row.
ever been to San Antonio.
It was pretty cool. I was surprised pleasantly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know the footage I saw from you looked fun.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a nice little trip. Yes. In our cheer community, we are not isolated
Yeah.
because there's a million people. But yeah, isolation. That's what we're talking about today. Being
Yes.
isolated. Dun, dun, dun.
Literally. I feel like
It's
even
so
my
heavy.
mom asked me, what are you guys talking about? And I was like, isolation. And she was like, oh.
Oh, cool. Can't wait for that one.
But really, it's a very important subject to talk about when you're
Yes.
alcohol free because it
All the
feels
time.
very isolating.
Yeah. Okay, so of course we wouldn't be doing our due diligence if we did not have our handy dandy definitions.
Yes, please go.
So I felt like Steve from Blue's Clues. Do. Isolation, 2 definitions: without relation to other people or things, comma, separate. Or it means the state of one who is alone.
Ooh.
So then I looked up the definition of alone and it just said separated or away from others. Furthermore, social isolation, which I feel like is pretty much what people consider when they're thinking about isolation. Social isolation is when a person does not have relationships or contact with others and has little to no social support. A note for that is that social isolation can pose a health risk to people even if they don't feel lonely. So like, say you're somebody who thinks that like you like your alone time and you're like, I just don't want to see the world ever. And maybe you're happy being isolated, it still poses a health risk to you.
Yeah.
Whereas loneliness is feeling alone or disconnected from others. It is feeling like you do not have meaningful or close relationships or a sense of belonging. It reflects the difference between a person's actual and desired level of connection.
Wow.
And a good thing, not a good thing, but something to note about that is even a person with a lot of friends can feel lonely.
Yes.
So the difference between social isolation and loneliness, social isolation is there's no one around you. You may not feel lonely, but you're still alone. And then loneliness is you could be in a crowded room and still feel.
Yes.
Have you felt that before?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just like almost lack of connection.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, these people don't get me.
It's almost like I don't know why, I don't know if I picture this in the moment, but when I'm thinking about it now, it's like those scenes from like the 90s movies where it's just the one person in focus and everyone else is like blurry. That's what I'm picturing.
Yeah. In Garden State. Is that what you're picturing?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was picturing Garden State, and I was also wondering.
There's another one that I'm thinking, or that I can see, but I don't know what it's in.
I think of what it's called. I'm not even going to say it because I can't even believe I don't know the name of it. But Ryan Felipe is in it, and that's who I was picturing. The CDC has some facts about isolation.
Love to hear them.
So again, they are repeating that social isolation is not having relationships, contact, or support from anyone else. Loneliness is the feeling of being alone, disconnected, or not close to it. They both put a person at risk for developing serious mental and physical health conditions. About 1 in 3 adults in the U.S. report feeling lonely, and about 1 in 4 report not having social and emotional support.
Wow.
It's so frequent. I know. That's so many humans.
I know.
1 in 3.
1 in 3.
There's 5 people that live in this house.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
It's crazy when you break it down.
That.
Yeah.
Your families and, the people that you interact with on the daily, your coworkers, like someone in this group feels lonely. Someone in this group feels socially isolated, and that's
I know for me, like on days that I'm working alone all day, if I don't have a book in my ear, then my brain will start to manipulate myself.
What does it tell you?
Well, no, it just like kind of spirals. Like I'll fixate on one thing, and then it'll go to another thing, and it like manipulates situations. Yeah. Which I thought was interesting because I did read that your inner voice can manipulate you when you isolate too much.
Yes.
And so I was literally like, oh, that's why I listen to the amount of books, because I do a lot of things alone. People are always like, you're doing, and I'm like, no, I'm actually alone a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I do see people throughout the day, but I do spend a lot of time alone in the kitchen or at my house.
And when you have someone or something in your ear, it's like your friend, like you're not there.
Yeah, or I'm just listening to, a different, listening to something else. It doesn't let my inner voice spiral like the crazy person that I am.
You're not crazy. And if you're crazy, I'm crazy. They found, actually, that there is a 25% increased risk for significant health issues, not just mental health issues like anxiety, depression, blah, 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 particularly heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and dementia.
Wow.
Studies have shown that social isolation was associated with a 50% increased risk of developing dementia.
Whoa.
And 50%.
And too, if you think about it, older people do isolate themselves in the way they don't want to leave their house. They don't want to do things.
Sometimes not by choice either. They're just isolated. They don't have anyone.
And if you don't sign up for all the community things or live in a home.
You think I'm going to be doing that?
No,
Seriously.
I'll be the one that's
we have to force you. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to have those connections that are going to, take you. 29% increased risk of heart disease and 32% risk of stroke.
Gosh, that's crazy.
Just from isolation. And you think about how bad, that's why when you told your mom what we're recording, it's all, because think about what the prisons do.
Yeah, that's funny. I've been thinking about that this whole time, but I didn't know if we were going to insert the prison. But I think that
and
isolation is
awful.
Yeah.
And they pretend to use it as a form of protection, but every person that goes into isolation, it's like manipulative, or they feel manipulated, and you don't know what time it is. You don't know, you lose all sense of control, all sense of connection to the real world. And it is that piece of like, I need some kind of connection somewhere, some kind of reaching out in order to feel sane.
Yeah. Well, no, and I read a lot too that depression thrives in isolation. And so that too, isolating yourself just like adds the layer onto the, isolation, then depression, then worthlessness, just loneliness, all of it. Like, and then your brain is telling you the thoughts you don't want to hear.
Well, and it's like when you're depressed, you want to isolate. Who wants to go out? No one. And those two things go hand in hand, and it's almost like the more you're depressed, the more you isolate, the more you isolate, the more you're depressed. And something else that goes hand in hand with isolation is drinking.
Yes.
According to Healthline, alcohol is a nervous system depressant. Heavy drinking can cause isolation as well as depression. So you get all three. Alcohol and loneliness can create a cycle that's hard to break. People drink to relieve feelings of loneliness or to distract themselves from those feelings. But then that drinking and alcohol can cause people to further withdraw from their loved ones, and it can increase those feelings of being alone and depressed.
It makes so much sense, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, so much sense. And then naturally, in early sobriety, you don't want to go to any social events because you don't want to be tempted or triggered to drink. So then you accidentally isolate yourself without even realizing you are isolating yourself.
Because when you drink alcohol, it creates all of these things. And think about the stories you tell yourself that you don't even think are happening in your head. And I feel like a lot of people turn to alcohol, like it said, to kind of help relieve all of this stuff. And it does for what?
Temporarily.
Yeah, like 30 minutes, an hour, and then you have to keep going, and then it just continues to spiral from there. So it says that these are all of the ways that drinking aids to isolation. It causes you to withdraw from your friends and family. If it does become AUD or alcohol use disorder, that can lead to feelings of shame, feelings of denial.
Yeah.
Been there. Other negative emotions that can make someone reluctant to spend time with you. We've all been there, where you've known someone or yourself, and you're playing with alcohol too much, and that makes people kind of want to distance themselves.
Yes.
They don't want to hang out with you as much. Maybe they're not inviting you to places as much. And then without even know it, you're getting isolated just because of how you acted when you were drunk.
Yeah.
Probably happened a lot to me, to be honest.
Yeah. Me too. I was just thinking about that.
I'm like, gosh.
Certain groups definitely that I'm still friends with now, but I do remember times where they're like, no, like certain events. It's like, oh no, don't invite Allie. Yeah. She's going to, be embarrassing, or she's going to not be able to handle herself.
It says that even single nights of drinking, like not back to back, every random night or every random once in a while can lead to increased loneliness. And then another huge factor that aids to loneliness and isolation, hangovers.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Because you don't want to see anyone. You don't want to leave your house.
How you look, how you feel, let alone smell.
I can smell a hungover person from a mile away. I'm like, oh my gosh, my senses are so enhanced.
But also, in my case, I blacked out and I had no idea what I did. And I either had my roommate or someone that was very close to me that was able to be like, yo, this is what you did. And honestly, if there was someone that stayed the night with me, that was the only person I saw, or else I saw no one.
Yeah.
And if you, in some situations where I was partying with people that I couldn't trust and I couldn't get a download from the next morning, it was just incredibly isolating.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know what you did in your own body, so you feel isolated from yourself.
Yeah.
And
too, physically, you and I both lived alone.
Yeah.
And so it was like, unless we did have someone spending the night or something like, which when I did live alone, I always had people around. And I feel like you always had someone, not all of the time.
Not at the end.
Not at the end.
Not once I moved to Arvada.
Arvada. Oh, yeah. Okay. Because I was trying to think, I'm like, where did you live? I was trying to think. But yeah. Yeah, dang. But yeah, that's just another layer of isolation too.
Well, and then it's like say you didn't have anxiety, say, you know, you felt okay or whatever, you're tired from the night before. It's not like you're like wanting to go out and run a marathon or go do whatever. And or if you do have to get up and go interact with people again, sometimes you drink and just start the whole thing over again.
Yes.
Alcohol affects your mood, believe it or not.
No way.
I mean, just listen to the hormones episode that we have. But it actually worsens the conditions of anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
And we just talked about that will then increase the feelings of isolation and loneliness.
Gosh, I'm just literally thinking of so many times where I was surrounded by people, but there was zero connection.
There's such a feeling of loneliness. And I think that does happen a lot in drinking because the only thing that's bonding you is that alcohol. So it's so superficial. Like the alcohol runs out, someone abuses it, someone's not using it the same that night. Like even then the connections aren't going to be what they normally were. It's so superficial. When you're drinking, and that, at least it was for me, and all of the connections that I thought I had, I didn't. And we've talked about this before, like when you would like make friends or like make plans when you were drunk and you were like all excited about it, that would be like another layer of me waking up hungover being like, that's never going to happen. Like I'm never going to see that person again. I'm never going to be friends with that person again. And it was like, you know, even further isolating. I'm like, the one time I make a friend, like I'm never going to see that person again. What did we have in common? I literally like fixed her eyelash in the bathroom or whatever, you know. There's nothing there.
Nothing.
There's literally nothing there. And it's so hard when you crave deeper connection. Like
I can literally think of like 3 different people that I would always see at the bar. And every time we saw each other, we'd be like, we should hang out later. And we'd be like, absolutely not. We never once saw each other outside of that scene.
Well, and so, you know, a lot of people think about this connection that drinking brings, and it is such a false sense of connection, but it is so integrated into our society. It's so integrated into everything we do. Like in order to connect, you drink. You go on dates, you drink. You're nervous, you drink. You want to open up, you drink. Like that's what it is told to us, despite all of the things we just mentioned it does to you, which when you stop drinking, that's a whole nother level of isolation that I don't think you are prepared for.
Yeah. And I didn't realize until recently that a lot of people I actually personally know, when they quit drinking, they didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Like no one, because they didn't.
Not a soul.
Not even their husband.
Wild.
Not their best friend, because they didn't want to then like mess up, you know, or like have that. They didn't want to say it out loud yet. You know?
How much it could affect their connections, you know, with these people. They just want to keep something like this. And it's so funny, you know, because even as we hear these stories now so far into our sobriety, we're like, no, shout it from the rooftops. But even looking back and remembering where I was, it's such a personal thing that you are battling, truly battling.
Truly.
As often as you can think about it, and I can totally understand why you wouldn't want to tell people. And, you know, thankfully I had such a supportive husband that I told him right away. Obviously, he had to know. But yeah, no, you don't want to tell people because of fear of ruining that. And
well, and the fear of the judgment, the fear of all of it too.
The questions that you're going to get
because
asked.
Seriously, there's 50, maybe even more % of the time when people find out I don't drink, they're like, oh, what happened?
It's a negative.
You know, like, or it's like, oh, did you have to go to rehab? You know,
yes.
Or they like feel so bad, and I'm like, no, like this is a choice. I'm not like bound to this. You know, like alcohol and I don't work together.
It comes with perceived shame, perceived judgment, perceived, you know, these people are not going to want to hang out with you. And then the reality does come, right? That like you have these feelings, and for the most part, or maybe in some situations, like it doesn't happen. And you're like, okay, oh my God, I told my husband and he still loves me. My best friend still wants to hang out with me. My family still is going to invite me on vacations. But there are people that stop hanging out with you.
Yeah.
There are people that don't want to be around you anymore when they find out that you don't drink alcohol anymore. And it is so isolating. I think that maybe one of the hardest bits of advice I've ever gotten in my life that I don't think I've ever been able to take is don't take that personally. Don't take something personally. And so when somebody stops hanging out with you, ghosts you, you lose this perceived connection you had, all because you made a choice that you think is better. Like, how can you not take it personally? How can you not be like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Like, was it me? Maybe I shouldn't have said this about me not drinking. You question yourself when, in my experience, okay, I'm not all experiences, but in my experience, most of the time that people ghosted me or couldn't be around me when I stopped drinking was because they had their own issues in their relationship with alcohol.
Yeah, that's what I was literally waiting for you to finish to say that.
It's like a mirror, and you are what they don't want to see, and you can stay in your lane as much as you want. You can act like it's not happening, or you can even shout it from the rooftops, you know, take water shots, sit in a corner, don't say anything. It doesn't matter how you are post drinking. The way that people are going to treat you is specifically reflective of their relationship with alcohol.
I agree 100%. And honestly, it's taken me a really long time to realize that it's not me.
Yeah.
You know, and really not just in alcohol, like the alcohol world, most of the time in friendships and relationships, when like there's like a loss of connection and stuff, 50% of the time, well, there's two people, so I guess that does make sense. But like, it's the other person too. You are not the problem. Like,
alcohol is the problem.
Yeah,
alcohol is the problem. And I mean, this goes back to even what we were saying earlier. You know, you think about all of these people that get isolated, or these people that lose friends because of how they are when they're drinking, or how these people that lose friends post drinking. The flower just went out my head. What did you say?
What did I say? I don't even know my name.
This is what happens when you get two moms together late at night. But it just
I was saying it is completely it's the other person.
Yes. Because think about what an isolating thought that is. It's me. I'm the problem. They don't want to hang out with me anymore. It's my drinking.
The negative self-talk.
Think of that thought, like you said, and where that can go when none of it is your fault, when nothing was your problem, when, you know, the person that scoffed at you, the person that made fun of you when you were this years old, the person that doesn't want to hang out with you because you stopped drinking alcohol, none of it is your fault. But how are you supposed to convince yourself of that? It's such an isolating thought. Yeah. And it's something that you really have to work through post drinking, because you do get treated different.
Yeah.
Bottom line. But the things that you're celebrating, and then the people that come along, maybe you don't even think will come along, or you didn't even realize were in your life and are going to be your biggest supporters.
Yeah.
Like they'll come along and you'll be like, okay, it's okay if those people fall to the side. It's okay if I lose those connections. And that's when you start to kind of grow out of the feeling of isolation post alcohol free, because it can feel like that for so long when you're focusing on the wrong people. And then when you are able to find a community, it kind of switches, the light turns on, and you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this was available to me. I had no idea this was here.
Yeah, and you can rebuild your relationships the way that you want them to be. Does that make sense? I don't know if I said that right.
No, it's so beautiful, because a lot of the time relationships are fractured in drinking, and it's really hard to rebuild those and have a clean slate when the alcohol is still involved.
Yeah.
And so whether you are rebuilding old friendships or you're finding new ones, it's like, okay, this gets to be on my terms. I trust who I am now. I love who I am now.
Yes.
I'm not going to make the decisions that drunk Jess made. And it does kind of allow for a more authentic connection, way more authentic than the girls whose eyelashes I fixed in the bathroom, like so much more authentic.
Well, too. And I think that too, in new friendships and sobriety, you can also show up as your authentic self, because you're not trying to prove who you are to your past people. Does that make sense?
Well, and even if you have this like need to prove yourself, it comes, I don't know if this is going to sound right, but it comes from a sober place.
Yeah.
Which is a way more level-headed person that's trying to like prove themselves, you know what I mean? Like a drunk person trying to prove themselves is like, and then like, if you're sober and you're like, okay, I'm trying to do this. And I think honestly, if you're in situations where you're trying to prove yourself sober, that little voice is like, come on, you don't have to do this.
Yeah.
Like, and it's such a different experience. And again, authentic, open, like vulnerable, like, oh my gosh, tripping over my own feet, just trying to make a new friend again.
Yes.
But it's so worth it, because I think all of the connections that have found their way into my life post alcohol free are just so much deeper, so much more enriching than any of the relationships I had before. And my relationships that I had before that have stayed strong throughout this are so much better than they were before.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that.
But it comes after you have to get through this isolating state. And there are a lot of things you can do to get through it.
Yeah. So a couple of the things is make peace with your past. Like that's a huge part of, I feel like, your healing journey in early sobriety too. Like,
so important.
We can't change our past. We can't take back our blackouts. We can't take back what we did. And so we have to just make peace with it. Like that, like.
It's like you hid in the shadows of it when you were hungover, and you don't have to do that anymore. Like, you don't have to hide about it anymore. It's okay. Come out.
Yeah. Yeah. And then another thing is talk to your safe people. Connect with your safe people. If you don't feel like your family or friends can talk to you on this level, a therapist is a great person to talk to. We're therapy girls. And truly, if you don't want your inner circle to know that you're trying to figure out your relationship with alcohol, a therapist is literally bound to secrets. Like, they are not...
They can't tell.
Yeah, they
Legally.
cannot tell.
And support groups.
Yeah, support groups.
I've been in support groups where people have literally come in and been like, I drank last night. I haven't been able to stop drinking, or, I slipped after this amount of time and here's what I did. I'm so embarrassed, blah, 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 blah. And every single time I have heard someone say this to a group of strangers, maybe it's people that are only their internet friends, I'm just so proud, because you can sit in that isolation forever. You can sit there and like never tell anyone you slipped up.
Yeah.
Never tell anyone you're craving it. And it just, the isolation, the depression, it'll just grow bigger, 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 until maybe you make a decision that you don't want to make anymore. But the second that you say it out loud, it takes away all its power.
And two, the second you say that in a safe place, in a group or community, they're going to be there for you tenfold, and also let you know that you're not alone.
Yes.
We've all slipped up, you know, like different things like that. And just hearing other people's experience with that, I think can be so valuable for people that were like hiding it. You know, they think that they're not going to get that support, but then they realize once they share it, it's like, thank God I shared it.
It's like the second you open your mouth, the weight gets lifted because already people are like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. I love you. I've been there. Keep going, blah, 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 blah. And to have somebody, a group of people, one person to tell your stuff to is immediately going to take you out of that isolation feeling or that isolation tank.
Yeah. And two, I think in early sobriety, it is hard to do things. It's hard to do social things. And so if barbecues are off the list for the summer, then do other things. Go to like group exercise classes, yoga, a hot Pilates class.
Totally.
Get some hobbies. Honestly, I've connected.
Library.
Yeah. Go to Jessica's spin class. No, but I have connected with so many people that I thought I would never connect with over book club, like in random things, because we don't have to talk about anything but the book. But even connecting that way, it feels so good to be able to do that. But yeah, just group things, and honestly, you might make a friend who knows?
Put yourself out there. Try something. This is something I think I mentioned in an earlier episode, maybe this season, about like doing something that maybe you didn't get to do as a child.
Yeah.
Like trying a tap dancing class, or like, what if you always wanted to do this? Like, go try it.
I did ceramics for almost 2 full years, and I still can't throw a bowl, but that's okay.
And you made friends.
Yes, I did. I made a lot of friends that I would have never made. Yes, and
every night that week, you knew you had community. You knew you showed up for your ceramics people. Yeah.
And I feel like so many people always say they want to do ceramics. I'm like, do it. Just sign up.
Just go.
Just do it.
Do the thing.
You just have to do it.
You just have to do it, because that will take you out. And honestly, like, then you're forced.
Yeah.
You're forced to do it because you already signed up, or you already paid.
Yes.
Or you already, got a sitter. Like, you have to go.
Yes.
You have to do it.
Yeah. Ceramics for me was a huge therapy, because I could not manipulate. I had to move slow, very fast paced. I learned more about myself in ceramics than I did in than like maybe not therapy, but in most things. I learned more about my internal side in those ceramics classes.
You know what did that for me?
What?
Gardening.
Yes. Oh, gardening is so good for the soul.
Go.
Like, even just
touching
putting your
soil.
Hands in the dirt. I know today I was up potting plants, and I was like, the time is here. Like, the season.
Was helping me. I'm like, get that hand in, not the gloved hand. Get your real hand in.
Yes.
And it is. It's grounding. There is studies like holding soil, putting your feet on the grass. It's grounding. It physically is doing something to your body.
I'm so glad that you're a gardener now.
I know. Thank you. Thank you for helping me.
Yes.
The point of all of this is community is so important in whichever way you find it. I think community looks different for every single person. It can feel different for some people, but as long as there is people in your life that you are able to go to and say, oh my gosh, this is what I'm feeling right now. That's all that you need to take you out of this or to prevent this. I mean, 50% higher rate of dementia. I think that it has touched at least someone that everybody knows, if not someone in your family. You know what that's like. Everyone says that's the worst way to go. If you can prevent that in any way, shape, or form by having an online community, 2 friends, going to a tap class every Wednesday, do it.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Because for me, there was so much more isolation in drinking, than there was in giving it up. But you had to fight for it. You had to fight through it, and you kind of had to find yourself again.
Yeah.
Find your new community.
Totally.
So that's what we recommend. We're here for you. We're your community. We don't have anything official except for DMs, but you can always write us and say you slipped up or I have advice. There's so many people that start us and be like, sorry if I'm bothering you. I'm like, you're never bothering. This is our literal job that we gave ourselves. We gave ourselves this job. Nobody gave it to us.
Yes.
So please reach out to us. Find a community. We have recommendations galore. Take care of yourselves. We love you, babes.
Talk soon.